How you been doing? It's been a little bit.
I know.
I
It
think you
feels
had,
like,
you
I mean,
had
it's been
some.
almost 2 weeks, it feels like, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm okay. I think I've got the basement leaking under control finally, so I'm very happy about that. I did a bunch of more work on the house the other day, and then we had a pretty big storm, and it mostly stayed dry. There was like three, I don't want to make this a long thing, but there was like basically three separate leaks. And two of them, there was no water at all, and one of them still had some, but that was like the least severe of the three.
Hmm.
And like I think I know where that one's coming from now anyway. So like this week, today or tomorrow or something, I'll go mess around with that one, because then we're getting another storm coming in, which
Man, it's endless, isn't it?
it is. But I mean, to be honest, like if I'm trying to fix the house, like what better test than to have a storm come through? But
Yes.
I mean, yeah, it's getting old because it feels like I don't know. It depends on where you live, I guess. For some people, this is just totally normal. But like, if I wanted this kind of weather, I'd move to like Seattle.
Yeah.
So, but I mean,
We've been having severe weather here too.
yeah,
Last night we had like a crazy windstorm again. We've been having a lot of windstorms here. Like
yeah,
high winds. Uh, and I think did I talk about this about the piece of the
yes,
siding coming off? Okay,
yeah,
I'm not gonna get into that again.
okay.
But
I mean, I wouldn't
I'm
mind
just
all the
afraid
rain if
that
it
it's
wasn't for the basement. I get really frustrated because it's like I have like things I want to do as far as like my show, right? And I have like stuff set up, and then like, oh, here comes another, we're gonna get an inch of rain on Thursday or whatever, and then I have to
Right.
like tear everything down and move it away from the wall, and put absorbent mats out, and it's just like it makes it very hard for me to get work done on the show.
Yeah, that's stressful.
And like I
It's
already
gotta
have
be
enough
stressful.
like obstacles, and I just don't need that on top of it. And plus, it's just like having water come into your house is just bad. YouTube show
Oh
or
yeah,
no YouTube show.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're making progress, which is, I
Yes.
guess, the important part, right?
Yeah.
It's got to feel good to saying like, "Hey, I've actually fixed this."
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
the most part, and there is an end in sight.
Yeah. And I'm becoming quite. I don't want to brag, but I'm becoming quite the expert at fixing dry rot. So
Really?
I was telling one of my coworkers the other day, that I want to quit my job and just start my own business, and I'll just be like a dry rot specialist. Like everybody around here is like a general contractor, handyman. Like I'm gonna be like I'm like dry rot Chris. Like, oh man, this window frame's all messed up. Oh, you got to call dry rot Chris.
You can charge the big bucks for that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's so specialized,
Right.
and nobody wants to deal with anything called rotting.
Yes.
Anything rot.
Yes.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
Yeah.
We were supposed to record earlier in the week, and you're like, "Well, we got another storm coming in." So,
Yeah.
and last week, I think we were supposed to record, but I had a crazy weekend last weekend. I went to Milwaukee
Right.
for work,
Yeah.
and it was kind of a whirlwind. I had to get up. My plane out was at 6 o'clock in the morning,
I don't.
so I had to get up at 3:30.
I don't care for that at all.
No, it sucked. But it's fine. Like kind of once you sit, like, get into the fact that like that's what you got to do. You just get really good at pushing through it, I guess.
Yeah.
Because, I had to get up. So
Can you sleep? Like if you have to get up at 3:30 to catch a plane.
I do sleep, but like it's like so like surface level that
yeah.
there's
Like I'm
just,
so worried
no
I'm going to
rest.
oversleep and miss it that I can't even sleep.
Yeah. Well, do you have your wife set an alarm for you too? I always have my wife like set an alarm too.
I don't. Maybe I don't know, but it's not even. It's just the stress of the whole thing. Just
Yeah, it's horrible.
yeah.
But I wasn't even supposed to go, but a coworker had like a family thing at the last minute, and then I had to basically go last minute because he was going to drive because he lives in Chicago and he was going to drive over to Milwaukee, which is like a couple hours or something like that. And they only had budget, they were had budget for like his mileage to drive there, not for like a flight for me. So I had to basically look for the cheapest flights possible.
Yeah.
And that flight was leaving at 6 o'clock on Saturday morning, and I got there and I shot all day. I set my stepper on my watch said that I did like 20,000 steps. And that's like carrying a big gimbal around too,
Yeah.
and like shooting all this stuff and walking on like a solid concrete floor all day. Which
20,000 steps. That's like miles.
it was 8.5 miles.
Were you filming a parade?
No, I'm just going around. This place is inside of a big convention center, so there's like a lot of booths and stuff like that you like, just a lot of things going on.
Oh, like
all the
this
time.
was like a convention, you're saying?
Yes, it was a sport, like the Milwaukee sports show, which it's sports, but it's really just like hunting and like that kind of fish, like hunting, fishing,
Like outdoorsman,
that kind of sport.
outdoorsman sports, you'd say. Okay.
Yes. So it was that, and I mean I was there all day, and so we wrapped up around 8 o'clock, and then like the entire team went out for dinner, and then I was flying out on Sunday morning at 6 a.m. So I had to get up at 3:30 again. And then, and barely slept again, and then got home and I took a nap. I'm not a big napper.
Yeah.
Like I hate napping. Have we I always ask if we've talked about stuff.
Yeah, I
like
always
that.
wonder about that too, but talk about it again because I hate napping too. So
Oh, I hate naps.
yeah. Why specifically
can't-
do you hate naps?
Because I hate, like, well, I feel like I'm missing out on something if I do. And B, like I feel like I have like a thin layer of like not, I want to say grease, but it's not grease, just like a thin layer of like grossness over me if I like sleep in the middle of the day.
Like
I
you
don't
think
know.
you wake up and you just feel gross.
Yes. Like, I mean, if I sleep in the middle of the day, like odds are I'm going to have to take a shower.
But you're
Because I
also
just, like-
worried that like you're gonna fall asleep, and then when you wake up, your wife's gonna be like, "Oh man, you missed it. Jake the Snake Roberts was here while you were asleep."
Well, I mean, I think that just goes back to like, being young. My kids hate napping too. I think that they just would rather, I don't know, like they could like lay and watch TV and not fall asleep. In fact, when I know that they're sick, the telltale sign that I know that they don't feel good
Yeah.
is if they fall asleep during the day.
Oh wow.
So, I mean, that is like the key to it. It's like, oh, I know that you're really sick because you fell asleep for a couple hours on the couch.
That's kind of interesting
But I
what
was-
you said though, because it reminds me of like being a kid when either like they tried to force you to take a nap, or you had like a bedtime at like 8:30, and like
Yes.
you would be like laying in bed with like your door just sort of ajar, and like you could hear people in the house, like your parents or whoever, like having a good time, and like you weren't allowed to be part of it because it was your bedtime.
Yes.
So maybe your
I mean,
issues with napping go. I mean, I don't know if that was your experience growing up, but
who knows? Maybe it's some like deeply rooted thing that I never placed. But I mean, like my kids like struggle with bedtime as it is right now. I mean, growing up in a house, like my parents divorced when I was like less than a year old. So my mom was working a lot, and basically we had to put ourselves to bed. Like she'd say, okay, it's time to go to bed. And then she's not going to sit there and, put us to bed, like wait for us to go to sleep or do anything like that. That really never happened.
yeah,
So I learned, fairly early to go to sleep on my own, even though like I would usually like wake up in my mom's bed in the morning. Like I would just get up because I mean, my son does that. Like he comes in, gets in bed with us constantly,
yeah,
like in the middle of the night. But there's times where, my brother and I, whose bedroom was across the hallway from me, we would like, my mom would be just doing whatever, watching her shows or whatever, and we would sit at our doors and just like talk or screw around with whatever.
yeah.
Or like, we had stupid kids games that we played that was like, it makes no sense in retrospect.
Yeah.
We had this one we called the golden statue, where we just like had to like not move, and the other person had to try to make the other one move. Mm-hmm. Which is really easy.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And we had one that we called it record player, which makes no sense. The only reason we called it record player is because we thought it was really funny to turn our noses like we were turning on the power for it.
Oh, all right.
There's like no other aspect about it that, like makes me think of a record player. We just thought it was.
Okay, but so anyway, so you had to get up at 3:30 again on Sunday, and then fly back to the Natty there. So
yeah, and it's
like
not
was your
bad.
Sunday all trashed then?
Yeah, basically. I mean, I showered when I woke up at the hotel.
Yeah.
Before I went to the airport, but I came back and I slept for a couple hours, and then I got up and took another shower.
Right. Right.
And it's it is not like that long of a flight.
Plus, hotel showers that's never as good as showering at home. I don't think. Like I don't ever feel as clean.
It's true.
Crappy hotel soap and everything.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
mean, you smell weird because you don't have your normal, whatever scented products you use.
But when you're just kind of, you're hunkering down and just getting through it, like I just need to get home.
Yeah.
Then it's fine.
That's what, like an hour flight or something. That's gotta be pretty short.
It's so quick, but there's no direct flight. So I had to fly going there. I had to fly from Cincinnati to Detroit, and then to Milwaukee, and then coming back, I had to fly to Chicago and back.
Which airport in Chicago?
The main one, or ORD. I can't think of what it's called.
O'Hare.
O'Hare. That's it. Yes.
I was only asking if anybody here's ever flown into Midway, but like just because of where it is, like you have to come, like the descent into the airport is like really steep.
Oh, it's horrible.
You can't get that like nice, gentle, like gradual landing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hate flying in general, but I think in recent years I've become more accustomed to it and better at it.
Yeah.
I think really like a big breakthrough was probably going to Japan. So when I flew to Japan, it was, it's a long flight.
Yeah.
And like that was fine, but and like I absolutely cannot 100% sleep on planes. Even if I was tired, like I cannot fall asleep. My wife can just like immediately fall asleep. Like she can't even stay awake.
I put some headphones on with some music that I like that's like relaxing. Yeah, I can lights out.
Oh, I'm envious, but there's just something about it. And I think that I always attribute the fact that I don't like to fly to now to Die Hard 2.
Really?
That horrible plane crash.
Yeah, at the
they
end.
caused, like that's scary, and also it was like further compounded probably when I saw the movie Alive about the soccer team that got.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
They got stranded on the mountains, and they had to like eat the dead. You know the story though, right?
Yeah.
Well, that has a pretty horrifying plane crash scene in it, where the entire back of the plane, like, gets cut off, and people are in their seats and they get pulled out the back.
Oh, yeah. I don't know that stuff doesn't bother. I mean, I can see that and be like, but it doesn't make me not want to. Like, I don't like flying, like just because I don't like all of the
rigmarole.
Yeah, like once I'm on the plane, it's fine. Like I don't like I had a job where I had to fly like probably almost every week. That's maybe that's an overstatement, but at least 2 to 3 times a month, I would say I was flying somewhere. And so I got just super used to it, and I kind of liked it, to be honest, because I would have like stuff like what you did, but like I would leave at like a 6 a.m. flight, and then I would be back in my house before my wife even got home from work. And so it just made me feel like this huge badass. Like, oh yeah, I had to fly to like.
I just went here for the day.
Yeah, like I flew to Phoenix or Salt Lake City and like fixed this mass spectrometer, and then I'm back in my house playing PlayStation at like 3:30 in the afternoon. Like that was pretty cool. But no, it's just like and it's the reason I get all stressed out about it is like there's so many variables, right? Like okay, I got to get to the airport. Is there going to be traffic? Am I going to be able to find parking? What's TSA going to be like as far as like how long the lines are going to be? Like generally for me, once I got through TSA, so that all I have to do is go over to my gate, then I was just like, okay, cool. Like it's over. Like now I'm through. I got like 30 minutes to kill. Awesome.
Yeah. I had to get the TSA pre-check.
Yeah.
For work, and it's great. I feel like it's well worth it because it's something like like $80 for 3 years or something.
Yeah.
It's so worth it. Basically, the way it's set up now is if you have that, it's because it's a separate line,
Yeah.
and you don't have to take off your shoes. You don't have to like unpack stuff from your bag.
Yeah.
And like here, I'm like carrying like video equipment
Right.
in like a Pelican case, and I just send it through. But basically, I can walk out my door and be at my gate in like 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I think they
So
rolled
that's-
that out right as I was leaving that job, because I remember I had started going through the process of doing that, and then I ended up quitting my job, and so I was like, all right, well,
I mean, if you're flying at least 3 times a year, I think
Yeah.
it's worth it.
I mean, I haven't been on an airplane since probably in 4 years, so
Yeah.
I hope to get back to that at some point, but
Yeah.
yeah. Man, I had something. Oh, I was just gonna say, I thought this was always funny. Like one of the places I had to go was Helena, Montana.
Helena?
Yeah, in Montana. It's the capital of Montana.
Oh.
I don't know if you knew that, but
I didn't.
all right. Well, it's the capital of Montana. That's why I had to go there, was because it was the capital, and it has this like really, really. I know it's the capital, but it's still I think the entire state of Montana is like less than 1 million people, right? And they're all spread out. So,
Yeah.
like the airport in Helena is like 2 gates.
Oh.
And I mean, I used to love. The only thing I didn't like about going there is like I had to fly from here to Salt Lake City, and then I had to wait like 4 hours for the flight that went from Salt Lake City to Helena.
Oh, geez.
And that kind of sucked, because I mean 4 hours in an airport, that's kind of rough.
Yes.
And so I would go to Helena. I had to go there like twice a year, and I literally had about 30 minutes of work to do, because it was like I had to do this like biannual preventative maintenance on this extremely simple piece of equipment, where it was like take the cover out, blow the dust out of it, like put some machine oil on all of the linear bearings, and then like run a little test to make sure that it's cool, and then like you're done.
Yeah.
So I had to do I did this thing where like, so I would fly there, and I wouldn't even get to Helena until like it was like after 5, even though I left my house,
Yeah.
fairly, like not early in the morning, but let's say I had to leave my house by like 9 a.m. or something, and then like fly to Salt Lake City, wait around, then fly to Helena. By the time I got there, it was like dinner time. So then like I would just stay in a hotel, I would get up like first thing in the morning. I would get up so that like I was at the lab when they opened at like 8 a.m. right? Because then I would get in there, I would do my 30 minutes of work, press the flesh a little bit, because I was like, that was the only visit they got from the company. So they go, oh, how are you guys doing? Everything's okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'll see you next time. And then like I would go eat breakfast. I had a breakfast spot that I went to. And then I had just time, because I think the flight didn't leave until like 11:30 or something. And so I had all this time to kill. And like in Helena, the airport is right next to the Costco. And so I used to just go like hang out in Costco for like 90 minutes.
But it's not like you can buy anything at Costco, because everything at Costco is huge.
Well, I couldn't buy like a TV, you're correct. But like, they
Or even like toilet paper.
well, yes, especially not that. But I mean, they would have cool stuff that we didn't have at that time. Like I think Costco's kind of changed a little bit. But I remember I used to go there, and they would have like these like really nice like merino wool socks, because it's Montana. And like at that time, we wouldn't have those here, because like most people don't really need merino wool socks where I live. But so I would grab stuff like that. But it was more just something to do. And the reason for that is that the airport was so tiny. Like I would show up, and like I'd have to be like, okay, I'm ready to go through TSA, and there'd be like some dude off somewhere else. He'd be like, oh yeah, I'll be there in a few minutes, because there was nobody else waiting to get on an airplane.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Stress free. Although I got really bad food poisoning in Helena, Montana. So
Oh, geez.
one time I had to
and,
stay.
And you're traveling. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, I think we talked about
is-
that already. But like I had to stay for an extra day, because like I was doing the exact routine I just told you, except I woke up in the middle of the night and had horrible food poisoning, and the entire next day I had to stay in bed. And then like the following day I got up in the morning and went to the lab, but I still felt terrible. And then I had to fly home, which sucked, because I'm like sitting in the sitting on the airplane, like eating saltine crackers and like the
Trying not to throw up.
yeah, and I was sitting in like the front row because it's like a little tiny plane, and so the stewardess or whatever, they don't call them that anymore. Flight attendant looked at me and she's like, "Oh, you have like air sickness?" And I just kind of said, "No, it's food poisoning." She's like, "Okay, well, just let me know if you need anything." I was like, "I'll make it." But even like when I got home, I was still just like laying on the couch, just like eating. I don't know if you ever eat gins. They're like a chewy,
They're like ginger snaps, kind of, or no?
they're like a chewy ginger candy.
Oh,
I was eating that and saltine crackers and then just drinking water. It's terrible.
yeah,
Terrible. But Helena, Montana, a beautiful place.
yeah.
They call
Good,
that like big sky country, and it's really true. I don't know how.
Oh, yeah.
Somehow
I mean,
manages. I don't know how the sky is bigger there, but it really is.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, thinking about that, like, I've never been there before, but you always see these photos where it does look like the sky is so much bigger.
Yeah.
And there's just beautiful mountains and everything. It's
Yeah. I always every time I went there, I wished I could have I could stay for like an extra day,
yeah,
just so I could leave town and go see something.
yeah.
Go out.
We're
and
doing this thing with my
nature.
kids where we got this map that has all the states you can scratch it off. The
Yeah.
places you visited.
Yeah. That's
So
cool.
it's kind of a fun little activity to do with them,
Yeah.
I guess. My wife really wants to go out west with the kids maybe next summer. Just kind of take a week-long road trip type thing.
Yeah.
I would like to do it,
Yeah.
but I'm also a little nervous about it
Why?
because it just that's a long time to spend in the car with
Yeah.
kids who have a hard time going
Yeah.
2.5 hours to their grandparents.
I get that. I mean, I don't know. I drove a couple years ago. I drove from Denver to here to Sacramento, and that's the longest road trip by far I'd ever taken. And
But were you by yourself?
yeah, I was in a car by myself.
I mean, I think it's kind of cool though being by yourself. I mean, as someone with kids,
yeah,
if I have to take a road trip and I'm by myself, it's so nice.
yeah,
I think, oh, I'm just going to get in here. I'm going to listen to some podcasts, listen to some music,
yeah.
and
I mean, I wish
you don't
I
have to
wish
talk
I
to-
had my
talk to
wife
anybody.
with me. That would have been cooler.
yeah,
Just because you see cool stuff and you have nobody to, oh man, check that out. But yeah, I know I wouldn't. It wouldn't be as fun to have kids. But obviously, I don't. If I wanted kids, I would have them, and you have them, so
yeah,
yeah, you're building memories. Damn it.
exactly. You always say, I guess growing up, you're making these memories,
Yeah,
but in the moment,
yeah.
it can feel very
Oh, I get.
not memorable.
Yeah.
Like it feels horrible.
I can definitely empathize with that. But I don't know. I just always try to think about like what are all my big memories of being a kid, like the things that really stuck with me. And I always kind of imagine in my head, like if I had a kid or multiple kids, like the things I would try to do with them because I felt like that's the kind of thing they would remember, for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And it shapes them in ways that you can't possibly imagine,
Yes,
I guess.
Yes. Anyway, hey,
My grandparents.
oh no, yours. Go ahead.
My grandparents used to, we would go on trips with them every summer, maybe for a couple days. But we would also go to Florida every year for spring break for 2 weeks. And it was always a pain in the butt to get down there because, I mean, I don't remember going down when I was older.
Wait, you drove to Florida from like Buffalo?
No. We flew. We
Oh,
flew down
thank
to Florida.
goodness.
But I remember those days. Remember those days when you had to get really dressed up to fly?
No. Sorry, I took my first airplane ride when I was like an adult. So
Oh, okay.
we didn't have airplane money when I was growing up.
There was a time I feel like when you had to, I don't know, you just dress up a little bit nicer when if you're going to fly on the plane.
Yeah.
I don't know when that stopped.
Yeah, I mean now people are wearing pajama pants and Uggs on the plane,
Yeah.
which to me is
I
understandable.
wear
mean,
joggers.
flying sucks, so like you should be as comfortable as possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean,
But I mean,
do
also
that, but
at
I
that
don't
time
blame people who do that.
there was smoking on planes too,
Yeah.
which is absolutely insane when you think about it.
Oh, for sure. I used to I talked about this on my show, but I used to ride the train a lot.
Like the like Amtrak type.
Yeah, no,
train?
yeah, it was Amtrak. Because my parents lived like 2.5 hours away from each other, and so like whichever parent I lived with full time, I'd have to go visit the other. Well, not have to, but I wanted to go visit the other parent. But like nobody wanted to drive me, so they would just stick me on a train, right? Like someone would drop me off at the train station, and then I would get to my destination, and the other person would be there waiting, for me to get there, right?
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, there was still smoking on the train. And the funny thing to me is that there was a smoking car. Like if you want to smoke while you're on the train, this is how it was, by the time I'm sure before that, like every car was a smoking car. But
Yeah.
but what was funny is that where they would put the smoking car, like let's say it was like a 5-car train, just making that number up, right? You would have like 3 non-smoking cars, then the smoking car, and then like the club car or whatever, like where they had like the restaurant and snack bar and whatnot.
I see.
Right?
So you had to walk through the smoking car to get to that.
Right. Like, wouldn't you put the smoking car like at the front where like nobody has to walk through it? But yeah, it would be like the order
Or
I
on
just
the
said
other
is the
side
order they would
of
be
it.
in. So that, yeah, everybody had to walk through the smoking car. And I just remember, like, for anybody that's ridden like Amtrak or any other similar train, like you go up to the door and you push this button in the middle of the door and it's like, it opens like Star Trek,
Yes.
like slides open. And then you have to walk through like the between the cars,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you step over the thing and then you push the button to go into the next car, like the exact same kind of door, and it would just open, and it was just like this haze, like there's just like this miasma of smoke just like floating like in the 18 inches below the ceiling,
Yeah.
and sometimes I would like try to hold my breath and make it through the whole car holding my breath, because like I just used to hate that. Like when I was a kid, like both my parents smoked, and 2 of my 4 grandparents smoked. And like they had no problem. Like if I was riding in the car with them, they would smoke in the car and not even roll the window down. Or like,
I know. Yeah. I remember that too.
like the best I could get is my dad would crack the window open like a half an inch.
Yeah. Same
and
here.
somehow
Like,
he
I don't
thought
even
that
understand-
made a
like,
difference.
I don't even understand that.
Yeah.
Even as a smoker.
Right.
Like I wouldn't want I wouldn't want to like not have the window open at least a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. Like, yeah, even when I was smoking, I didn't like secondhand smoke, even if it was my own secondhand smoke, like
Yeah.
just wait until you get, like, I always preferred just smoking outside. Like, I'm going to go outside and have a cigarette, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I understand if you're driving like 3 hours and you're like, oh, I can't wait that long because I'm addicted to nicotine. But it's like, we were just going to the store. Like, can you just wait? And then when we get there, you can like stand in the parking lot and have a cigarette? I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, I don't understand the idea of not rolling down the window. And my brother and I had to make a big deal about it.
Yeah.
Like, can you just roll down the window like a little bit? Because for me, it would make me sick to my stomach.
Oh, yeah. I feel like if you already kind of have a thing where, like, I used to get car sick.
Yeah,
Not like,
I get car
not
sick
to the
if I,
point of
like, am
throwing
riding in the
up, but I would
back.
get very nauseous riding in the car, especially in the back, because like if I had like my dad driving, my mom or my stepmom in the passenger seat, then I'm in the back seat, which is I'm already going to get car sick, and now you're up there smoking with the window not even down, and it's just going to make it even worse. And then they would act like I'm the wuss when I'm like, oh, you got to pull over, I
Like
might
you're
throw
the
up.
problem.
Yeah. I'm just a drag. Anyway, hey, before I change the subject, it is 30 minutes into the show, and I believe we have a special message from our friend Buffalo Bill.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I didn't tell you that.
there he is.
We got
Yeah.
a special guest today.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy Buffalo Bill, and you're listening to episode 22 of Here's My Question for You. Peace.
Oh my God! Thank you so much to Buffalo Bill for,
Wow, it's
for
crazy.
stopping by the show.
wait,
Just,
what's he? What? Jeez.
I thought you were dead, man. I don't know how that's crazy. That's just, I mean, it's just a movie. It's not real, right?
That depends.
All right. Well, anyway, that's it for the Buffalo Bill segment of the show today. Man. Hey, Hey, do you have I'm not prepared today. I freely admit it. You got any? Does it slap or should we eat it?
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh, good.
I mean, I have one that I feel is what might be an impossible question.
I don't have any gadgets on me, and I have my lists. I need my phone or my iPad. By the way, while you're looking at whatever you're looking at,
Yes.
I don't know if you looked at
my
the comments on episode 21, but I was happy to see that several people agreed with me about the phone thing. And I don't think not a single person had oh, no, what are you talking about? I love my phone. Like the two things I like to complain about are my phone and Microsoft Windows. But if you complain about Windows, you get all these Microsoft fanboys who think that like Windows is awesome and make say, well, what about, it does this, it does this, it does this. And they try to make all these excuses, for it. But with the phone, nobody was like, whoa, I love my phone. What are you talking about?
Yeah, almost everybody, like basically everybody was like, man, it sucks.
Yeah.
It's this world we live in, this reliance, it sucks.
Yeah. All right.
But
anyway, all right. So you got your. We got to play the.
Yeah.
We should go back to the other one though, because
Does he slap? 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 Should we eat it?
That was not very loud.
Did you?
Was that?
Did you drop a glass or something? What happened? Did you drop a beer bottle? I heard some breaking.
That's probably
glass
Buffalo
there.
Bill
Oh, probably. Yeah.
screwing around.
Yeah.
That wasn't very loud. I mean, I'm still working on levels. You might need to insert that, like
It's
the real version,
no problem.
like, into that.
I can take care of it.
Okay. So this one's kind of maybe like one of these.
This isn't the
People.
Terminator
It's
2
just-
thing, is it? Because you already did that.
No, it's kind of tailored to you a little bit.
Oh, all right.
I mean, I guess.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we'll see.
So the idea behind this one is I have 3 people,
Okay.
and you obviously have to keep one.
Okay. If
And
one
you
of them
two-
is my wife, I'm going to keep her.
No,
Okay.
it's not. But I think that the idea of eating 2 of them, like they need to be, like all your memories of them
Oh, wow.
have to be eliminated.
Wow. All right.
Okay. Bruce Springsteen, Steven Spielberg, or Joe Montana.
All right. Bruce Springsteen is the easy one. I'm not a fan of Bruce. I mean, I don't dislike the guy, but I just think he's kind of overrated, in my opinion.
Okay.
But very talented person. I
respect.
understand.
Like, you
he's
understand.
Yes, I respect all of his accomplishments. I'm saying I have never, that I can remember, I have never on purpose chosen to listen to Bruce Springsteen. Like I've never owned one of his albums or like, oh, you know what I feel like listening to right now is some Dancing in the Dark. Never.
Okay. But I mean, there is respect there. It's just like that he's just
It's not like I think, oh, the boss sucks. He's just not. It's just not for me.
It's not for you. Okay.
Yeah. So it really comes down to Joe Montana versus Steven Spielberg, and I'm not saying it's not a tough one, but I'll explain, my reasoning, I guess. But you just can't get rid of Steven Spielberg. I just can't. You're saying like every movie I've ever seen that he was involved in has to go. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing with Joe Montana. Like I love Joe Montana. I'm a huge 49ers fan. But I feel like I don't have nearly as many memories of him playing as I do of Steve Young. And,
Okay.
And
So,
I know
mean,
that Joe Montana won 4 Super Bowls and everything, and huge respect for Joe Montana, obviously.
Okay.
But I have Steve Young is my all-time favorite 49ers quarterback, and he's my second all-time favorite 49er behind Jerry Rice. So,
okay.
As much as but it's a good question because you're basically saying I have to eliminate 4 Super Bowl championships from the 49ers, right? But I just have because he left the team when I was 14, 15 years old, and so most of my teen years, when I was a lot more into football because I got a little bit older and understood the game better, was watching Steve Young play. So
okay.
it pains me to do it, but I have to yeet Joe Montana.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, I guess I over-anticipated or overestimated
No,
your
it's a good.
attachment
Not at all. It's a good.
to Joe.
Well, it's funny because like when I was a kid, I was a huge Joe Montana fan, and I hated Steve Young. Like whenever the game got to where it was like a blowout, and they'd be like, "Oh, we're gonna pull out Joe Montana and let Steve Young get in there and get some reps." I used to hate that because I'm like, "Who's this clown?" You know.
Yeah.
But just the way the guy, once Montana left, and because I was one of those guys where like when Montana left, I was kind of glad. Because he would get injured and be out for like, oh, he's not going to be around for the whole rest of the season. And so then Young would come in and play really well. And it's like at some point, like you got to give the team, you can't stay healthy because you've got little tiny bird legs. Like, at some point, like you got to step aside and let Young have the team. And so by the time that happened, I was glad. I didn't want Montana back. Not because I didn't love the guy, but just because it was time, I thought, for the Niners to move on. So
how long did he play in Kansas City? And did he only play in Kansas City after that?
Yeah, I think it was only for a couple of years. And I think he made it to I think he made it to the AFC Championship game with the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm. I remember walking into it like it was his first game at Kansas City, I think. Because didn't he like join Kansas City like mid-season or something like that?
No, I don't believe so. I could be wrong. I don't know. I haven't.
But
that's not
I just
something I've
remember
thought
it being
about
on a TV in a Woolworths for some reason.
Yeah.
Because there's a Woolworths at the mall.
Yeah.
Right where I grew up. I have very few memories of Woolworths. Did you ever been to a Woolworths?
We had one. I remember when I was a kid, we had one at one of the malls. Mm-hmm. But
did it have like the diner? Like
see, that's what people always talk about that, and I just don't. So we had two malls where I lived, and the mall that I liked more, that we used to go to more often, like the reason we went to that mall, like one of the anchor stores was Sears, and the other anchor store my grandma worked at, just so she could get the discount on clothes. And so we used to always go to that mall, and that's not the mall where the Woolworths was. So, so I remember there being a Woolworths at the other mall, but I don't have any memories of like going in there. Like I said, people always talk about the diner. Like I always remember the diner or the luncheonette or whatever at Kmart.
Okay. I've seen the one at Kmart, and I think that some Targets had them, and some even still do.
Like now, if you go to Target, they have like popcorn and pizza, but they used to have a little thing where they had like booths and you could go order. They had like a grill and you could get like a hamburger and sit down and eat.
Yeah.
But I think those are all gone now. It's funny you bring up Target. I wasn't going to bring this up, but my wife and I kind of had this whole thing happen. This whole situation came to a head, I would say, like last week, where I think both of us have just been getting more and more sort of disenchanted or disappointed with Target.
Really?
But
so
neither one of us ever said anything because it's like, well, we got to go. There's like certain things we just get them at Target, like most like personal care products or, like paper towels and soda and stuff like that. We would just go to Target.
Yeah.
And, but I used to like going to Target because like I always go check like the video games and I would
check the clearance. I've got so much
check
stuff
electronics clearance. I check all the video games. And like, for me, I would always go look at the Hot Wheels, see if there's any cool Hot Wheels. And, but like you go there now and they don't have like the Hot Wheels aisle is always empty. The video game aisle is like 75 to 80% empty.
Yeah.
And it's kind of been that way for a while now. But there's a lot of other ways where I feel like Target has sort of been on, this downward slide. And like the last time we went to Target last week, and like my wife finally said something. She's like, I don't like coming here anymore. Like this is not even nice. Like because she had been, I don't know why she was like craving for popcorn, right? And they're like renovating.
She just likes going to the Target for the popcorn now.
Well, no, we would get the popcorn, but that they're like renovating where the popcorn and the Starbucks is, so you couldn't get that. So I was like, oh, well, let's just go get a bag of popcorn, from like the chips aisle. And, now Target's like selling all this stuff. They're getting really big into having their own store brand.
Yes.
of lots of things, like including food. And
Yeah.
so they had the
I mean,
store.
my wife really likes the wine
All right, well that's something.
because like cheap for a big bottle.
Yeah. And anyway, so she reaches and grabs this olive oil. It's like olive oil and Himalayan sea salt, which like, I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't care where the salt comes from personally, but she reaches in there and grabs the bag and then realizes that there's like mouse crap all over, like stuck to the bag. Ooh. And she showed me, she's like, is that what I think it is? Is that like mouse turds? And I looked and I was like, yep, that's what that is. And so she went and, washed her hands, and we just kind of bought whatever else we were buying. But then like we were leaving and talking about it, and just like, we kind of felt like, I don't think we want to come here really anymore, because it's just like you get, half the stuff you're looking for, they don't have it. And just so much of their stuff is just it's not even nice anymore. Like whether it's like, kitchen utensils or, like towels and sheets and stuff like that we used to always get there. Now it's all their own store brand, and it's like cheap, and and then what happened is like, this started like a long time ago, and I know I've mentioned it before, but like, we were pretty like anti Walmart. Like we just do not go to Walmart, right?
Yeah.
And like we read a whole book, like someone wrote a book about it's called like, how Walmart is destroying America or whatever. And I mean, certainly some of the points in that book are very, very true, but like you could say those same things about a lot of other companies, right? It's like Walmart, I feel like, kind of gets unfairly singled out for doing the exact same crap that like tons of other places are doing.
Yeah.
And like my wife had not been inside a Walmart in something like 20 years. And like I would go in there sometimes, but she wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, I go in there to like look at clearance stuff.
Yeah. But anyway, so just coincidentally, at the same time this whole Target thing happens, like my wife's in the kitchen, doing whatever, like making some food or she was making some food. And, we have those glass measuring cups, like Pyrex, you get like with the little handle on it, and like the 2-cup measuring cup was sitting on the counter. And
they're BPA free.
Well, it's glass, so
I don't think. Well, the lids sometimes like have.
All right. Well,
I don't know. We have Pyrex stuff, and it's like,
anyway.
The lids are BPA free. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't even know what BPA is.
It's bisphenol A. There you go.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm an organic chemist, so I know these things.
I think.
So anyway,
after you're done, will you tell me why BPA?
That I don't know. I'm not a biochemist, so that requires a biochemist. Anyway, so she just, she accidentally knocks the glass measuring cup off the counter, right? Like it happens, right? Hits the floor and it breaks. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, well, no problem. We'll just get it. We'll get another one. Like who cares, right?
Yeah. So,
there's two companies. Like this is another thing I kind of always go on about. Whether it's on Twitter or on my show. Like if there's a product where you have the option of buying something that's made in the United States, I want to buy that, right? Like if and if there's not, then I want to buy, like, what other countries? Like, is there a European option? Basically it's just like, I want to buy stuff from countries that have like strong labor protections before I say like, okay, I have to buy something from China or whatever. Right. So in the case of like these measuring cups, there's like not one, but two different companies that still make the stuff here. Right. You have the Pyrex stuff, which is made by Corning. And that's all made in the United States. And then there's Anchor Hocking, right? That one's actually Anchor Hocking is in Ohio there. So,
really,
I believe
I'm not familiar.
I believe Corning is in New York, but I'm not positive. But
Corning is
Anchor Hocking
is it Pennsylvania? Corning is New York.
I think
I went to the glass blowing facility when I was in high school.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, we saw that stuff.
All right. Well, anyway,
I don't remember too much about it.
So I know I'm making this story way too long, but so anyway, like I just knew, okay, I'm going to buy either a Pyrex or an Anchor Hocking, right? I don't even really care. Like I read some reviews and people ran some tests and said one's a little better than the other, but ultimately who cares, right? So I look, well, normally it's the kind of thing I would get at Target because normally we go to Target for stuff like that. Well, Target doesn't sell those anymore because now Target sells them under their own store brand. So,
okay.
Right. And I didn't look because this was
Yeah.
we were already getting like disenchanted with Target, but it's like I'm sure they're probably made in China. I don't know that for a fact. I'm
Sure.
guessing they're probably made in China. All right.
Yeah.
So I look online
There's
and like
a good chance of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
because otherwise, why would you switch?
Yeah.
Right?
It's just-
Because these
I
are
mean,
not
it-
expensive to begin with. The only reason you switch is because you think you can eke out some more profit by like, well, we'll just have these made. Because like if you go to the houseware section at Target, most of it is Target store brand, whatever
Yeah.
brand.
Well, I
they're
mean,
selling.
same thing with like furniture. Like they all have like the same.
Right.
I can't think of what it's called. Like I know what the boxes look like, and like
Yeah.
like the design.
Yes.
Of the packaging.
Right. So anyway, so I look online and
Home essentials or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. So I look online and like I can go to Walmart and they have anchor hocking measuring cups, right? Mm-hmm. So I just tell my wife because I know she doesn't like Walmart. I just tell her, I said, look, I'm gonna because I looked on Amazon and you can get either one obviously on Amazon, but they're kind of a ripoff.
Oh, okay.
Like I was something else that Olga and I had talked about is just
well,
like
it's probably more difficult
like-
to ship that. Maybe I don't know.
I don't know. I just think Amazon's doing this thing now where like you get free shipping because you have Amazon Prime, but like a lot of the prices seem like, well, you're just taking the shipping and you're building it into the price because I can get this cheaper if I just go to the store,
Right.
So, and plus, and I'm not going to get into all that, but it's like to me, it's like you can't say, oh, I'm not going to shop at Walmart because of X, Y, and Z, but I have no problem ordering things off of Amazon,
Yeah.
So anyway, so I
mean,
just
they're
told her, I
pretty-
said, look, I'm going to go get it. I'm going to go get these at Walmart. You can come or not, but and
Did she go with?
yeah, so we ended up going to the grocery store to buy some stuff, and I said, well, maybe we'll have them there, and they didn't, and I said, look, we're already out. We're going to go to Walmart. Yes, I just said, if you want, you can wait in the car,
Mm-hmm.
And we get there, and she's like, oh, I'll come in, and we're like walking through the parking lot, she's like, oh man, I haven't been in a Walmart in like 20 years. This is like weird, and so I don't know what she was expecting, but like we walk in and like I even said to her, I said like I feel like the ambiance at this particular Walmart to me just feels like if you had gone into Target like 15 years ago,
Really? Okay.
as far as like it's not you go in there, it's like everything's perfectly clean and organized and like it's it's a perfectly nice store, but I feel like Target's I've noticed
the
that a lot
other
of these
way.
Targets are getting like remodeled and they're trying to make everything look fancier to make
Yeah.
it seem like you're getting this more upscale shopping experience versus going to
Right.
Walmart. But at the same time, they're taking all the products away and replacing them with crap, right? So anyway,
Yeah.
like we go into the Walmart and we go over to the aisle where these measuring cups are going to be. And it's funny because it reminded me, I don't know if you've ever seen this picture. There's a sort of famous picture of like, I think it was Boris Yeltsin in an American supermarket. Maybe was it Gorbachev? I don't know. I don't remember. But it was some like one of these Russian premiers going into like visiting the United States, like on an official state visit, and like going into a supermarket and just being blown away. Like I remember the story behind that is that they went home and back to Russia, and they thought that it was like a fake supermarket that the CIA had set up to like make it because over there they were all told that however bad you think you have it having to wait in line for toilet paper, like it's way worse in America, and so they came over here and saw like a supermarket and they're just like, oh my God, like you have all these different choices, and anyway, that's how I felt standing on that aisle at Walmart. Because I'm looking
Right.
up and it's like, here's all the name brand stuff that you can't get at Target anymore. And like just the full line, it's like, oh, here's like every kitchen tool, which, I'm into that stuff because I like to cook, right? So I'm looking at
Yeah,
this wall
yeah.
and here's like every kitchen tool that KitchenAid sells, like all like bam, And they had that for like a bunch of other brands too. And then down here, here's all this like anchor hocking stuff. And then like next to that, like, here's like 8 different digital scales that you can buy, because it's normally something I'd have to buy at,
Yeah.
at on Amazon or something. And then like we go down this other aisle where all the silverware is because it was right next to it. We're just trying to walk out, but we walk over there and like, here's all this like Oneida silverware and what like, name brand stuff that, Target got rid of that a long time ago because they want to sell their own brand,
So really what's happening is that both of these companies are gunning for the other one's customers.
I don't know,
And then
but
I
our
guess they're swapping.
our takeaway from that is that we're just going to start shopping at Walmart now.
After, I mean, it's it's going to all be the same crap, I guess. And you saying that Target used to be like really good, and it's not really anymore. It's just like a common thing. Like, I don't understand why things that are good just can't be like, this is good enough. Let's just keep it like this forever.
I mean, I think with these companies, especially when it's a publicly traded
more.
company, they have to. Like, you're obligated to your shareholders to maximize profit. And so if somebody sitting there at like, Target HQ over there in like Minnesota says, well, gee, we're buying all these like KitchenAid and Pyrex kitchen tools, but if we make them, if we have them made, in China and sell them under our own brand, we can actually make more profit, then they have to do that. Right.
Yeah. For like a fleeting moment though, and then people like yourself will say, I don't want to do this.
But
this is not what I want.
That they run the numbers on that stuff and say, okay, how many sales are we going to lose if we do this versus, and say what you want about Walmart, but Walmart is a privately held company, and they don't have to, and they're raking in the profits. Don't get me wrong, but I'm saying like they don't have to do things a certain way to appease shareholders. They can just do, and they're such a huge company that if they think that they're getting charged too much from a place like KitchenAid, they can say, hey, like either you lower your prices or we're not going to sell your stuff here anymore.
Yeah.
So,
and then they would, it's just an endless pit, I guess. The endless pit of capitalism. I
it is,
suppose,
but it just, for me, it's just like, I just want to be able to go somewhere and buy the things that I need, you know, like,
and get the one that you want.
Yeah. But I also like, if I'm going to go to the store, I'd like to be able to go browse and like look and, oh, let me go check out the video games real quick. And when you go there and there's just nothing, and I don't mean literally nothing, but I mean, I think you'd be shocked if I took a picture of like the video game aisle at Target.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It feels like the Soviet Union. Like, where is everything? It's just like, because everything's under lock and key now anyways, but like all of those little like individual like lockers or whatever where all the games are
empty.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it is at mine too.
Yeah.
And then you find games, you go and you look at the clearance, and you're like, oh, well, this is right here. And like I got new Star Ocean game on the PS5 that came out in like December.
Yeah.
And it was already on clearance, and it was $17.99.
Well, that's
and
nice.
there's like no way that I'm not going to buy that. Like,
course,
I will buy it for sure.
Yeah.
Because the cheapest place to find it is like $35 or something like that.
But like
now.
at my Target, they don't even have that anymore. Like there was that one end cap where all the games were just sort of out.
Yeah.
That's gone too. Like it's just like there's no, where did all the games go?
Yeah, that is the question. I think that the thing is clearance sections are in every department, and I don't think that they care where they put it. Like maybe some of those games are like in a clearance end cap in a different department.
Yeah, I mean,
because
I don't know.
they just happen to like, oh, I have this clearance stuff, I'm just gonna chuck it on here.
Yeah, but I'm not in there to go on some, it's just, I'm
exactly,
only going there in the
exactly.
first place because I'm like, oh, I need paper towels and Coca-Cola, right? And like, while I'm in there,
Spindrift.
the thing that, yes, thank you, Spindrift. The thing that makes me want to go is like, oh, I'll go see if there's any cool new this or that, right? And so, because it's kind of out of the way to go over there. And so, when I go there and it's just like, oh, the shelves are empty again, it's like, well, then why am I coming over here? Like I can just buy those. I can go to my neighborhood supermarket and, pay. I can get, Coke and paper towels, and I'll pay a little bit more, but I'm saving time by not driving, to the other side of town,
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I don't know.
My wife's really into going to the clearance end cap that's like in the grocery section, because you never
there's
know
some
what you're
good
gonna be able to
stuff
find.
there sometimes.
There's some good stuff, and stuff that you will buy because it's so cheap that you would never normally buy.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's like boxes of cereals. Like, I would never eat this kind of cereal.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it's going to be 99 cents, sure.
Yeah.
Like, someone's going to eat this in the house.
Yeah.
I prefer cereal I would prefer cereal for every meal if I could.
Yeah.
But I'm also not picky in that I'll, if it's cardboard. Like I will eat and enjoy grape nuts. Like grape
Really?
nuts, like
Oh, I
don't
hate
taste like anything.
No, grape nuts taste like dog food, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, maybe they do, but I mean, they almost have no taste. And it is. Did you know that during the pandemic there was a big shortage of grape nuts? Like
No,
grape
because I
nut
don't know
cereal,
who the hell eats grape nuts. I think that's like
old people.
that's literally the worst cereal in my opinion. It literally, like when I was a kid, we had a dog, and I took a bite of a dog biscuit. I was like 5 or 4.
You know, like it tastes like grape nuts.
No, I'd never had grape nuts, but I took a bite just to see what it tasted like, and I was like, oh, I don't like that. And then whenever it was that I finally tried grape nuts, it was like, oh, that tastes exactly like that one time that I took a bite of that dog biscuit. It's
Well, during
terrible.
the pandemic there was people were selling boxes of grape nuts on eBay.
But why? Like who? I don't know.
Because there's a certain demographic that really enjoys grape nuts, I guess.
You know, speaking of cereal, and I guess speaking of new developments with my wife, but so we both work on a university campus, and so we have there's these they call them dining commons on the campus, but it's like that's the place, wherever there's dorms, because there's like different areas on campus where there'll be like a cluster of dorms. There'll be a dining common there, and that's supposed to be where the freshmen that live in the dorms, part of what they're paying for is like, okay, you or their parents are paying for, whoever's paying for them to live in the dorms. It comes with this meal plan where they just take their student ID and they walk into the dining common and swipe it, and then it's like all you can eat.
Yeah.
But anybody can go eat in the dorms or eat in the dining commons. Like you don't have to be a freshman. It's like I can go eat in the dining commons. I just have to pay, right?
Right.
And considering like the price of food in general on campus has just gotten pretty ridiculous. Like we have these food trucks that come every day. I mean, there's plenty of other places to eat on campus. I'm highlighting the food truck thing. And there's been this food truck that's been coming to campus for like well over 10 years. The same truck. And they sell like halal food. I don't know if you know about like halal.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it's like, it's like this rice with like chicken on top and like a little side salad, and they put like the sauce over the whole thing. And when they first showed up on campus, it was like $6.50. And now it's like double that. So it's like at some point it's like this isn't even a good deal anymore. Like I can ride my bike downtown real fast and because it's not like it's great. Like I'm not saying it's not tasty, but it's like, you get it and and it used to come with a drink. So you'd pay $6.50 and it's like, oh, here's your thing, and then you can have a can of soda or a bottle of water. Now it's like, here's your food for double the price, and then if you want a beverage, you have to pay extra for it. So anyway, this isn't for me to complain about the price of food on campus. I'm just saying that at this point, going to the dining common instead is actually a pretty decent deal.
Yes.
Because it's less, it's like $11, but you can go in there, you can eat as much as you want, and then, especially at my age, I do that, and then I just skip dinner because I'm not even hungry,
As a side note, really quick, while you're thinking of where you're going to take it.
Yeah, I just remember.
I have a problem where if you go to like if I go to a buffet, and it's you pay one amount, and you get as much as you want, I feel as though I get full so much faster. And is that like the MSG or whatever that fills you up so you don't?
I think it's old age is what it is.
But the thing is
We just can't eat like we used to.
If I had that food at home, like I would be able to. I'd go nuts.
I don't know.
If I go to a buffet, it's like I'm gonna have like one plate, maybe go back for like another scoop of something I like, and then maybe a dessert.
I don't know. I think it's a psychological thing, personally. But But anyway, so the only reason I brought any of this up in the first place is like, so you can get breakfast, lunch, and dinner there, right? If you go at breakfast time, they serve breakfast, blah blah blah, right? But they have cereal all day long. Because they're not going to put away the cereal, right? And they're not going to put away the milk because people drink milk. So you can go to this one spot and there's like, I don't know, I'll say 8 sort of like hoppers or whatever you want to call it, where you put a bowl underneath it and pull a crank.
Okay.
And I know what you're talking about with the twisty thing, like at a hotel. This one you pull down a lever and like cereal starts coming out. And so can you imagine, you can just go pay like $11 and just have all you can eat cereal.
That's
because then it's because there's like there's like stuff that's like, oh well, we have like I don't think they have grape nuts. I'm sorry, but they have like better for you, like, oh, here's some Raisin Bran or whatever. But then they also have like Captain Crunch and Fruit Loops.
right. So they have something for everybody.
Yeah. I've never done that, but I've always just kind of thought about, I'm gonna go over there and just go buck wild on, like, I try not to eat breakfast cereal because I just feel like it's not, it's not the best option for breakfast food as far as like,
Yeah.
especially at my age. I just feel like,
I prefer to have cereal at other times.
well, I don't mean that. I just mean like, to me, it's just junk food.
Yeah.
Because I'm not eating grape nuts like you are. But I'm saying like, every Christmas I want my Christmas crunch, and I always
I
feel
haven't
like
had grape
garbage.
nuts in years. I just,
Really?
like,
You're making it sound like you're eating them every morning.
No.
All right.
No.
You were all like, oh,
No, I have not.
I love my grape nuts.
If I do see grape nuts, I will reassess them.
Okay.
I mean, they're gross and they're garbage, but I don't know. I'm not picky. It's funny. My wife was like, she's been listening to the podcast,
Oh no.
and she's like, "Well, why does Chris say you don't like food?" I'm like, because
Did she listen to that episode where you're like, yeah, I just don't really like? Because now I feel like whenever I'm thinking of like, does it slap or should we eat it lists, I don't even put food on there anymore.
You got it
Because you're just going to eat it. You're like, oh, it's food. I don't like that.
No, listen, you're looking way too into it. Like I'm not picky when it comes to food, and there's certain things that I like, and there's certain things that I don't like.
Yeah.
But I'm not like I don't like food. Like I mean, clearly I like food.
Yeah.
But I'm just not like super picky.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll try to.
You should put food back on the
all
menu.
right, I'll try to reintegrate the food.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, that was mostly about the cereal thing, but all right. Here, I got another one for you here. Well, I got two other things actually.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna do this one first. So here's my question for you, since we don't even hardly ever do that anymore. Has there ever been any like band or just in general a musical act that you ever had like a love like relationship with? Like, I liked them. I went through a period where I liked them. Then I strongly disliked them. Then I went back to liking them.
Can it be hate, love, hate?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to.
I mean, because like The Offspring would be a good example of that. I kind of have always kind of hated The Offspring,
Yeah.
but then, like anybody who played Crazy Taxi, I feel like that will make them fall in love with Offspring for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I went back to hating them as soon as Pretty Fly for a White Guy and that other one
Yeah.
came out.
Yeah.
I mean, does that work? I mean, I've always hated just The Offspring. I always hated like his voice. What's his name? Dexter something.
Holland, I think.
Dexter Holland, yeah. But apparently he's like a super genius.
Yeah, he has a PhD in like, I think he has a PhD in biochemistry. Actually, we should get him on the
We
show
should
and ask him about BPA
stuff.
Yeah.
It's funny because like my daughter, she's almost 11, and we've been kind of going through like she's getting a little bit older, and she's been getting more interested in music and then like other things. For instance, we've been going out, like as someone who doesn't even like really like baseball, we've been going out, and she got a baseball glove at Target recently.
So you can play catch
and we
with
go
her.
out there and we play catch. We've been playing
my God.
catch.
I'm so jealous. I have nobody to play catch with.
And it's this. I never played any sports except for Little League, really, and that was for 1 year, and I hated it. But it is really, really fun to play catch.
Oh my! I love
Like,
it. I miss it so much. I have my baseball glove is right there.
Yeah, I need to
I
get
ever-
one, but they're super expensive.
Yeah, but you got to get a
I
good
mean-
one, dude. If you get a good baseball glove, it'll last you the rest of your life.
Well, I mean, I would probably will end up having to do that.
Yeah.
And
Like go to
You know,
just
I
go
think a
to
big
like a
thing of
sporting. Go to like Dick. I don't know if you have like Dick's Sporting Goods there or anything like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Like go there and get like a decent baseball.
I know, but it's like
glove.
80, like
I
$70,
know,
$80.
I know.
Which I am totally fine with.
You know, and
But
get
the
you know
way-
get it all oiled up and put a ball in it and wrap it up real tight and put it under your pillow. Like you do it up right. You know, to
but
break it in.
It's been really fun because the ball that we got, you know, it's kind of it's solid, but it's got a little bit of a softness to it.
Yeah, so it's
So
not a baseball.
I can
like,
chuck it to her. Yeah, I mean, she's not there yet. She's just kind of like getting.
No,
like
no,
a
it's fine.
coordination.
I'm just it's a clarification question. That's
But
all.
I can grab it. You know, I can catch it with a bare hand.
Oh wow, all right.
And it's like it's not like that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want it to, you know, for her to throw it
Yeah,
and, you know, like I don't want her to get hurt because she is having a hard time, like, you know, like using her other hand, I guess, to assist with catching it.
yeah,
You know, like you catch it, but you can,
yes.
I don't know, like based on like what I know about it. But it's been really fun. So, for a while there, we were going out like after dinner, but before the clocks changed, it would be getting dark, and
Yeah,
she's fine with it because the balls that we got, you know, they're neon green and one is neon pink, and easy for her to see. But like I'm, you know, getting old, and it's like I can't see this once it's like in the air.
yeah,
Until it's close enough, I gotta hope that I catch it.
Yeah.
But now that the time has changed, we were out there yesterday until 7:00, and you know that's a big breakthrough, I guess, like to be doing that because we had gone down to the park and you know we got a wiffle ball bat,
yeah.
and I think a big part of like the thing that kind of spurred it on is that my son, who is 8. His friends are like into baseball and they want to play baseball. And he's like, no, I'm not going to go because they're going to play baseball. Cause I think that he doesn't have the confidence to like understand how to play it or to get up there and know what to do.
Yeah.
So we've been doing stuff like that, you know, like I've been, you know, giving him the wiffle ball bat and just like kind of tossing stuff just to make him more comfortable with like understanding how you play it and how it works.
Yeah.
Because like even though I've never been like a big sports person, I do feel like it's just a good thing to know in life.
Yeah.
You know, even if you don't like it, it's a good thing to understand it and like to an extent.
That was like one of the main things we used to do outside when I was a kid.
Is like throw the ball.
Play baseball.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
Even if there was only a few of us, you know, you'd have ghost runners and stuff like that, you know, and just, yeah. I mean, I just have a lot of great memories of playing baseball out in the street, you know, when I was a kid, you know.
Yeah, and
So-
that's cool. I mean, I want to keep on doing it. Where, you know, I want to go out and like you know, throw the ball to her in different ways. I'll throw it
Yeah.
high. I'll like roll it along the ground, and I think that a big thing is that I think like some of the boys at school were like, "Oh, girls can't play these things," and she's like, "I want to learn how to play so I can show them."
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty
know, yes,
stupid that I don't understand why boys play baseball and girls play softball, especially in this day
Yeah, I don't
and
really
age.
know why.
Like, what's the difference? Because I mean,
the ball's bigger and you pitch it differently, right? Is that
yeah, but
like the
you
only
ever
difference?
watch like girls like you know collegiate softball?
The way
Like
that
they pitch
is,
it
like,
different
insane.
because it's underhand, but it's still like ridiculously fast and like. There's nothing soft about a softball. I don't even know why they're
I
called
don't-
that. Like if you get hit with a softball, it's still going to hurt.
Yeah,
It's like
well,
why?
I mean, my
why
daughter
doesn't
said
everybody just play baseball?
I don't know. I don't know like why that works out like that, but she said, you know, I wonder if I could play baseball. It's in school like when I get a little bit older.
Yeah,
And I said, well, you know, you could play softball because that's probably what's going to be offered. And I
Yeah.
said, oh, they pitch it like underhand, and here's how they do it. And I didn't even understand how they do it.
I don't either.
It's like
It looks crazy.
it almost seems like it takes more like power
It seems like a good
than
way to
just-
dislocate your shoulder.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But so that's been really fun. So afterwards, we came inside, and my wife was going out with some friends last night to like a book club thing that she's in. So we came inside, and she's like, "Can we watch music videos?" Because I
Wow.
was just thinking, I was talking about because she's been getting into like listening to music at school. Like she's been really getting into like 80s music.
Because you
at
you
school.
set her up with that iPod Shuffle. She's still
Well, that was
doing
a
that,
part
or-
of it, but that was also like they have a thing at school where she can, you know, it like plays certain things for her, and then it's like a quiz thing.
Oh, all
And
right.
she's been like exploring like different music videos, and I'm like, oh, we can watch
Yeah.
music videos. So I brought that up on the Apple TV and just going through different stuff,
Yeah.
and it's cool. I mean, there's playlists of like 80s and 90s, and obviously, I have a stronger attachment to like the 90s
Yeah.
music videos.
And that way, if something comes on you don't like, you can just skip it, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But like there's like it's really interesting because she really got into like the ridiculous ones, you know, because I had to explain to her that music videos they allowed people to be more experimental because the budget, like they could never do this kind of stuff for like a movie.
Yeah.
But with like this micro budget, they could just do something that's completely wild and weird.
Yeah. But I mean, can you give an example of a ridiculous one?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
She was like way into Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer.
Oh my God, I love that video.
It's a great video, right?
Yeah.
And you know, it's all like stop motion, like, and she was just like glued to it the entire time.
Yeah.
And after that, I started looking for like weird music videos because there's plenty of them out there, but I had to just scroll through and see what there was. And she really got into into the cars you might think, where like he is like Rick Ocasek is like in like everything, like he's like outside her house, grabs her like King Kong.
Yeah. I don't
And
know.
she like rolls up her lipstick, and he comes out of the lipstick, and
oh
it's
my
just like
goodness.
it's ridiculous.
I can't
but she was
conjure
like-
up the music video in my head for that one.
You'll have to watch it afterwards. But she
Yeah.
was so into that too. She was just like dying, like laughing at this stuff. So, you know, it's kind of neat seeing her like see these music videos, and you know, with Sledgehammer, I said, this was the music video of the year this year, the year that this came out.
I remember that was the year we got MTV. Was the year that came out, and it was like
that was-
they would play that at least once an hour, and I would always watch it.
Yeah,
Like there's plenty of other
It's-
songs that came on where like I don't like this one, but anytime I heard the beginning of Sledgehammer, I sat down and watched the whole thing because I loved it.
You see like the blood like going through the veins or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like
Yeah,
yeah, it's a great video. So
the dancing chickens.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's even the song itself is so weird.
it is. But you know one thing, I don't know if I ever mentioned this anywhere else, but like that was really the only way I'd ever listened to that. You know, was just on it was on MTV so much that's just
You
how
never
I know
felt
the
the
song.
urge to like get an album or anything.
Well, I was like 9.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
You know,
I mean, it's same
but,
here.
But
I was-
now I have the CD, and like I stuck it in my stereo one day, in the living room and listened to it, and like man, like that. Everybody talks about like Dire Straits as far as like how those albums are like so expertly engineered, and like I would say the same thing about that Peter Gabriel album. Like if you've never listened to it like on your stereo, like put it on, because I mean Sledgehammer, like I'm talking about, like I was listening to Sledgehammer through the little monaural speaker in like our
Yeah.
RCA console television, but like you put Sledgehammer on like a nice hi-fi system, sounds really, really good.
I'm gonna do that when we're done recording this podcast. I'm gonna put that on
Yeah.
and just like listen to what it sounds like, because I don't think that I've ever heard it off of an album. I've only heard it associated with the music video,
Right.
which would just be through the
Yeah, I mean that
the
whole
TV.
album is very good. So
yeah. That's not the one with. That's not so, is it?
it is, yeah.
Oh, I have that on vinyl actually.
Well, there you go. You can listen to it that
I'll listen
way.
to
then.
that then.
Yeah.
All right, sorry about the tangent, but I've been.
Oh, I don't care. That's what this show's all about, is the tangents.
All right. What was the other question?
Oh, yeah. Well, before we get to the other question, just real quick, because you sent me that thing, was it yesterday, about Stop Making Sense getting re-released. And,
Right, yeah.
I mean, just since we're talking about music, I'm pretty excited about that. So for anybody that doesn't know, we're talking about Talking Heads. They had the film Stop Making Sense, like a concert film. Was it? I think it was Jonathan Demme that did that, I think. And everybody talks about...
Didn't Jonathan Demme direct the Silence of the Lambs?
I believe so. Yeah. There you go. It all comes back. We'll have to ask next, in episode 23, if we can get Buffalo Bill back on, we should ask him what it was like working with Jonathan Demme. I mean, it's pretty cool. Everybody always says it's like one of the greatest, if not the greatest concert film ever made. I don't know if that's true or not, but it is really, really good. And one thing that's really cool, though, obviously that's like, I don't know how long it is exactly, but, it's pretty long because it's like a feature-length film. And so when they released the soundtrack for it, they couldn't put the entire playlist, or whatever, set list, I should say, on.
Right.
They had to cut some stuff out, which I always thought that kind of sucked just because there were some songs that I thought were really good that didn't make the cut. And then later... they came out with like an extended, because a CD can hold more than, and I think they were really limited back in the day by what vinyl could hold. And so I think, it also came out on cassette, but I think they just released the same thing that came out on vinyl. But so later they released a CD that was like an expanded edition where they put some of the songs back. And then I just saw on the link you sent me that they're releasing like a double vinyl that has like all of the songs on it,
And you're going to buy that, I assume.
I mean, I'll have to look. I have the expanded CD, so I don't know. And I have the original version on vinyl, so I really need like another copy of Stop Making Sense? Maybe not.
Right.
But it really is.
If you have an opportunity to see that in the theater, are you going to go?
I would love to, yeah.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I've never seen the whole thing, as I've told
Yeah.
you before. You were aghast.
I was just a little bit surprised. I mean, just because you're a music guy, so But I mean, there's plenty of stuff where you'd be aghast if I said I hadn't, seen this or listened to that or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, so this changing topics, but so this was the last thing that I had. I've been playing a lot of PlayStation lately, like PlayStation 1. Like if I say PlayStation, I mean the original PlayStation.
Yeah.
Although now nobody can call the Game Boy. They have to call it the DMG, which I cannot stand that. So maybe we need to start doing the same thing with the PlayStation. Well, if you say PlayStation, you could mean there's been 5 PlayStation, and then and then there's the portable systems and whatnot. And then if you call it a PSX, some people don't like that. So
people get real upset about.
Maybe we should start
PSX
calling
now.
it the SCPH. I was playing the SCPH, because that's like the letter
So
designation.
PS1 doesn't count?
I guess it does, but to me the PS1 is the little redesigned PlayStation.
See, I think a PS1 is just like the entire
Oh yeah, no.
generation.
If somebody calls it the PS1, like I'm fine. I don't care. Like that's. I just want to know what you're talking about. So if someone says PS1, like fine with me. But I'm saying like somebody else, you could use the same reason you can't call the PSX the PSX. Well, the PSX was a PS2 based DVR that was released in 2004 or whatever.
Like I know that you can't call it that, but it's.
But I do.
Before that came out,
It's the PSX. We all called it the PSX. And anytime anybody wants to argue with me about it, you just told me how old you are. Because obviously you were not around when we were all calling it the PSX. Anyway, that's not really what I wanted to talk about. So I've just been playing a lot of PlayStation lately because I'm trying to do the next magazine read through, which again is just frustrating because like I want to do it, but then like the table where I do it, I'm having to like drag away from the wall and whatnot and pile a bunch of stuff on top of. But anyway, like I'm playing the PlayStation, and I love that system, and it always makes me think about, I don't know if you get asked this ever. I get asked this. I've been asked this many times just because of my show. Like people always want to know like what's your favorite video game system, and sort of my canned answer is that it's the systems I grew up with. So it's the NES, the Genesis, and the PlayStation. and I don't even try to pick between them. That's just like those are my three that stand above everything else because like I had those when they were current, and those were my jam at the time.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's just like whichever one I'm playing, I'm thinking like, oh my god, this is the greatest video game system like ever. Like if I'm going through a period where I'm playing a lot of NES, I'm like, oh, if I could only ever have one system again, it would be this one. But then if I'm playing the Genesis, I think the same thing. And then if I'm playing the PlayStation, I think the same thing. So I'm just kind of bouncing that off of you. And like, do you have, do you have a special affinity for the systems you grew up with? And like, do you have a hard time picking between them? Or do you have one where it's like an easy answer of like, if I could only ever play one system again, it would be this one?
I mean, it's going to be between the Genesis, PS1, and Super NES, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just if I was going to have to choose like any system, it would probably be one of those three systems. But it's interesting because the PS1 is something that I think when it was current, I remember thinking, oh, I will never feel about this system like I do about the Genesis or Super Nintendo. And now I look back on it, I'm like, I think the PS1 might be the best system ever made. And just the way it is, and I'm okay with that. And just like the breadth of different kinds of games on it is incredible.
Yeah.
And not only did you have like the perfection of 2D that you got with like the Genesis and Super Nintendo, but you had, interesting 3D games, which weren't always like amazing.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to see like, what they were trying to do, like figuring it out, And there's it's interesting because it's really cool to see where things that became more commonplace, like kind of started, I guess, during that generation.
Like what?
One example I like to talk about is so Mega Man Legends 2. If you put a DualShock like controller and you play it with DualShock, it has like really, really modern feeling controls. Like move on the left stick and look on the right stick, and your shooting is on your shoulder buttons. It's pretty amazing how ahead of its time it was, like that game specifically.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it was the biggest leap between generations.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
And, you got the 240p
Yes.
graphics. And, if you have the right TV for it, that's great.
I feel like it's a big part of the
like,
reason that I don't play like PS2 and GameCube is it's just a little bit more difficult
to get it to look as crisp as.
Well, on like a modern, like I just feel like PS2, GameCube, like if you have like a consumer grade CRT, that's like, it's going to look the best, but like even on like a PVM, it looks a little bit jittery.
Yeah.
Like 480i content has that little bit of a jitter to it that kind of makes my eyeballs go crazy,
Yeah.
And, if you play like on a regular
TV. It does make it look
TV,
really crisp. Like the interlacing does make it look really crisp.
Yeah. But I'm saying I would
TVs.
rather like, I don't really have room for one, but like I would love to have just a regular TV from like the 90s for playing that stuff on, I've been going through that lately with the GameCube because
I saw you playing Prime 1 because you got the.
Well, because I got the Mem Card Pro GC, and so I wanted to kind of just mess around with that, and so I'd gotten out. I bought those component cables that Retrobit is selling.
The Prism or
yes,
whatever.
thank you, the Prism, and I plugged it into my BVM, and I had to use something that I got from Mike Chi, like he had like the Retro Tank guy, he makes he made, I don't know if he still does, a component to SCART. Like he makes he makes SCART to component and then also component to SCART. It's
RGB
two separate
to comp
things.
or something like that.
Right. Yes. There's like comp to RGB and then there's RGB to comp. So anyway, like I didn't want to have to pull the BVM. I have to pull it away from the wall to get back there and plug things. I just didn't want to do that. So I just used the comp to RGB to plug the component cables into a SCART cable that I could just plug into my SCART switch box or whatever. But, like I'm playing it, and I thought like this image doesn't look like it looks just sort of like the colors are not really popping at all. And I'm playing like Mario Kart where it's like super colorful.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why does this look so like drab? And because I even tweeted about it, I'm like, does anybody else that have one of these things like think it doesn't look all that great? And then I found like someone had done a review of those prism cables and actually taken measurements and found that like the image is like 15% darker.
Oh, geez.
Compared to using just like first party Nintendo component cables. So, which I'm just saying, it's like, okay, then that's still not really, it's not like it's unplayable, but I'm saying it doesn't look it's like you play it and you're just like I have the contrast on my monitor like maxed out.
Right.
Just because I'm just trying to brighten up the picture. But I'm going to try, because I've got my little 14-inch PVM, and I still have S-Video cables. So I'm going to try plugging in the GameCube with S-Video and just see. Because, on a 14-inch screen, are you really going to... It's not going to be a huge difference, S-Video to component. So...
that Metroid Prime, though, it's a pretty great game.
Yeah, I'm waiting for my copy to get here for the Switch, the remat. I ended up pre-ordering it from Castlemania.
Oh, nice.
So
yeah, it's good. It's a really good remake / remaster. It's kind of in between.
Yeah,
it exists in this place in between.
I only have like a small stack of GameCube games. So like I can't believe the price of GameCube games just went absolutely crazy.
Yeah, luckily there's nothing that I want on the system that I don't already have. I got really lucky in that I found a whole bunch of them at Goodwill. I got like Pikmin 1 and 2 for $3 each.
Yeah.
I got like all these different games at Goodwill for that system specifically. Like 6 or 7 years ago. Things that I didn't have when I was, when I had the system originally.
Yeah. I used to have
it real cheap and
I used to have a decent collection of GameCube games, but I got rid of all of it.
Yeah, you should when the GC loader releases again. You should get one of those. That's the
100%.
ODE.
That's what I should do. Although the only game I can think of if I had something like that, there are many other games that I would like to check out for sure. But like the main game I don't have that bothers me is I want the F-Zero game. Was that F-Zero GX?
Yeah. I can't believe they didn't remake that. That's insane to me that it has not gotten any sort of remaster.
Well, I think it's more insane that they've never made another. Like, why isn't there like an original F-Zero game for the Switch?
Because, in my opinion, I think it's because F-Zero GX is so good.
Yeah,
that they don't know. They know that it can't be topped.
But then why don't they just do like you said and just
So I've heard rumors that Miyamoto doesn't like it.
Doesn't like F-Zero as a whole, or doesn't like F-Zero GX?
Doesn't like F-Zero GX.
Okay, but then wouldn't that make him want, if like you just said that it's,
No,
whatever,
because
but
you can't,
if he,
you can't
okay, but
play
if he
it in
doesn't
a
like
different-
it, then
new and
like,
different
let's
way.
see what you like make an F-Zero game that's what you think F-Zero should be.
Yeah, but what would happen is it would just get like Star Fox zeroed, and it would be annoying to play. Oh, you can play F-Zero, but you gotta you can only play it handheld, and you gotta tilt the system probably,
That'd be
something
terrible.
stupid like that.
That'd be terrible.
Yeah,
but that game's like
that
game's like $100 now at least.
Yeah, it's worth it.
I know, but
it's directed by the same guy who made Super Monkey Ball. Directed that game, and then would
like
go on to
Super Monkey Ball.
What?
So I do like. In fact, I have Super Monkey Ball right here.
There it is.
Because I have it disc only. It's the only disc only GameCube game I have. But I went to a game store and I was looking for a controller, and I looked through all their GameCube games, and it was all like NFL this and NBA that stuff I don't really want. And then the only game that was cool because I was looking for it is they had a loose copy of Super Monkey Ball. So I don't like buying loose games, especially for something like that. But because I had Monkey Ball 1 and 2 for the GameCube before I got rid of my stuff, and I had F-Zero GX. I had a pretty decent.
That first Monkey Ball is really, really good. Second one, I feel it kind of loses the plot a little bit.
Yeah,
It's I don't know. It feels a lot more gimmicky. Like, oh, you start this level, you got to hit this button to make things speed up or slow down. It feels a lot more like luck. But the first game is just expertly designed. It's
Yeah.
just very pure, and it's like same thing as happens with everything.
Yeah.
But the director of that, like, and F-Zero would go on to make the Yakuza series.
Yeah, it's funny. I can picture him in my head, but I can't remember what his name is.
Nagoshi. I don't know what his first name is, but you should, if you ever get a chance, you should look up a photo of him, like before, like when he made Monkey Ball,
Yeah.
and then after he started making Yakuza, like he like totally transforms.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
All right, do you want to read a couple of emails?
I don't know, man. We're already at 90 minutes, I think. I think maybe we should
Okay.
not do that today. Should probably wrap it up. But I'm trying to make that. So that's what I was going to say about the magazine read through thing. Like I was thinking, I mean, I already thought about doing this with Nintendo Power, but I was thinking it'd be cool to do both. Like just start reading all the issues, doing read throughs of all the issues in order. Like at least for the first couple of years, because that's what. So what I'm working on now is it's PSM issue 4. The PlayStation magazine. So, and I've done like the first 3 or 4 issues of Nintendo Power, and I was thinking it'd be cool to just keep going with both of them and just doing them in order, and then just in between some of them throwing in like here's a Game Fan or a EGM or a Game Pro. Like I don't want to ignore those, but I think it'd be cool to keep doing them in order. But,
Yeah, or you could do. I mean, you got the first Game Fan. You could try.
I know I'm going to.
You should also check out the second issue of Game Master sometime.
Yeah, I'm going to. I know. I have it. I got to do that. But it's like one of the things I get frustrated about, again, not to go back to that again, the whole basement thing is like I just, I want to do these read-throughs.
You feel
and so,
motivated.
well, it's just like I said, when I have to tear down my setup over there, it makes it difficult, But hopefully that is over now, at least for a while.
But each time you put it back together, maybe it improves in some way.
Well, I did. I got the same setup over there now that I have over here with the monitor arm, and then each one, it's like I have the camera that you're looking at me with, pointing at me, and then I can swing an arm out, pointed down at the desk over here, and I have the exact same setup over there. So all I have to do is just unclip my cameras and take them over there, and then bam, magazine read through.
Just like that. I'm doing a similar thing, right? You can't see it, but I have another arm right here that I'm able to shoot overhead.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It's inspired by you. Like all the stuff that I've been doing.
But I just got it from Caleb.
multicam
I didn't come up
thing
with
you
that.
did.
As Caleb Pike, Although, I guess having the camera that points down, that was my addition to the Caleb Pike system. Because, I mean, that's a more special. How many people need a camera pointed down unless you're doing what
unboxings or something
or
like
what
that.
Voltar's doing, with the repair
Yeah.
and stuff. Then you need a second. But most people doing YouTube videos don't need that. So
Yeah.
oh, that's the other thing I was going to say. That was the reason I brought up the whole love hate love thing with bands. Was because I went through that with U2. Because
so you're back on the love for them?
yeah, but I went
But are you
through
only
when I was
loving their old stuff?
yeah, mostly. But when I got talking again about MTV, when I got MTV, I remember that was after Joshua Tree had come out. And so where the streets have no name was played constantly, and I just thought that was kind of my first exposure really to U2 was
Same
Joshua
here.
Tree, and so I just thought they were really cool. And then the two things that kind of happened that made me kind of temporarily be kind of turned off or whatever. One of them was when they had that deal with Apple, where because that album is still on my phone, and I've never listened to it, and it's don't force me to listen to your crap. I don't like that. But the other thing was do you remember that show on VH1? There was that show Behind the Music.
Oh yeah. It's great.
So I used to watch that. I just remember they had one about U2, and I don't know, I just feel around that time I saw that and maybe some other stuff with U2 where I just felt man, these guys are really full of themselves. And to me, the best kind of person is the kind of person that should be full of themselves based on all their accomplishments, but isn't, And so I think, because I mean, before that, you know, like going back to mini discs again, that was like one of the mini discs I used to always carry around with me. Was I had, you remember they had like 2 best of albums? There was like the best of from like basically the 80s and then one from the 90s. Like I had the one from the 80s.
Yeah.
And I would listen to that like constantly. But
I mean, that tracks. I mean, that was like the best time, really.
Yeah. But
and then, you know, like, I don't know. There's just
like a lot of they had some good stuff in the 90s. Like I'm not going to say that like it's not like there was nothing good, but like some of that stuff, like you know, that song about, you know, she moves in mysterious way. I just don't like that song particularly.
Mm-hmm.
But like that song One, I think that was from that came out in the 90s. That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's I bet you like that. I mean, because they would do a thing where they would like do something different every single album, right? And that's like where like the Zooropa happened. And then they kind of went back to like their own old style with
that wasn't Zooropa was when they had that's what remember when I was telling you needed to come up with an alter ego for your karaoke.
Yeah,
I think Zooropa was when Bono had that thing where he was the Fly or whatever it was, where he wore those crazy sunglasses and
it has like the fisheye lens on everything.
Yeah,
I just remember that because there was that music video with the Edge just sitting there and he was just like singing, like saying the words of the song like monotone.
Yeah,
and there's
what
all this
song
stuff
was that?
happening to him.
I remember
like,
that.
People were just like screwing around with his like, you know, like tying like a rope around his face, and it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway,
but
that
U2 is like definitely a band that I can appreciate the like certain eras, but I don't know. I don't really think about them that much.
Sure,
anymore.
That's fine. Yeah. But anyway, that thinking about Behind the Music just kind of got me thinking about, because I mean, that show was good for the time, you know, and of course because it was from a major network, they had like access to the musicians and they could like interview them and whatnot. But you know, it's funny because you know now people complain. I mean, I know I complain, and I think I'm not the only one about like a lot of the programming on cable TV, you know, and like you watch the History Channel now, and it's like what is like Antiques. What's the one with
Roadshow?
No, that's on PBS.
Pawn Stars.
Well, yeah, no, it's Pawn Stars, and the other one on History Channel is those 2 guys that go out hunting for antiques.
And is that Antique Roadshow or is that
Antiques Roadshow is the one on PBS where like people bring their stuff in and get it appraised. I can't remember the name of the other show, but like the other one, whatever the two dudes in the van, like that's a fine show. I don't have a problem with it. Pawn Stars I could live without, but the point is like a lot of the stuff that people used to associate with the History Channel is just not there anymore, you know.
Oh,
and
I mean, it's certainly not history related anymore.
Well, right. I'm saying, yeah, they don't make that kind of stuff anymore. Or like, you know, you watch, I mean, VH1 I think still exists, but they don't do like behind the music and stuff anymore. And I really think that, you know, it's because of like us, like guys like us. Like I think we've killed, or at least partially responsible for killing a lot of that kind of programming, because like, you know, you look on like YouTube, because I'm saying like, you know, what was it? It was like G4. They just tried to like relaunch G4 like last year or whatever. Wasn't it G4?
Yeah. And it went like really badly, I think.
Because nobody wants to see that anymore, because it's like now there's like tons of guys like us on YouTube talking about video games and doing a better job because we're more passionate about it, that like nobody wants to watch that stuff. And for like Behind the Music, there's tons of that kind of content on like, I mean, you know, I know that, you know, Pat Finnerty likes to make fun of Rick Beato, but like, you know, Rick Beato is a big enough presence on YouTube that like he can go, you know, he's had like interviews with guys like, you know, Pat Metheny and Billy Corgan.
Yeah.
So it's like when he's doing that, what's VH1 supposed to do? Because people would rather watch a guy like Rick Beato, or like there's, I don't know if you ever watched the channel, The Professor of Rock. He does the same thing. He does all these deep dives into like these albums or songs, and then he's done interviews. Like he went like to Europe and like went to like Alan Parsons' house and did like a whole interview with him.
Yeah, they can't compete with that really,
right?
Because these people are like excited to do this stuff,
right?
You know, I'm not saying that people who made Behind the Music weren't excited to do what they were doing. But it's like it's different, you know. It's
Yeah.
like people
Yeah,
say,
I'm not-
okay, I want to make this. I want this thing to exist. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna,
Yeah, I'm not trying to trash that other stuff. I'm just saying that, like, you know, people, you know, most people that start like a YouTube channel to do something are very, very passionate about it,
right.
you know, and I think at least like in my case, I never started that thinking I was going to get, you know, that it was going to go anywhere. It's just like I thought it was cool, you know.
Yeah.
So, because, you know, people have like compared some of my episodes to things like that Icons show that they had on G4, but, you know, I'm just making the point. I mean, there's tons of guys like me and tons of guys like you, like not just in the gaming sphere, but elsewhere.
Yeah.
And so
in
it's like
every sphere, really.
Exactly. And so it's just like, why would you watch that kind of content on TV when you can find,
Yeah. I'd be curious. Like, I haven't seen VH1 in 20 years, probably.
I mean, it's
have
probably
no
just
idea what it-
overflow from MTV of just like, you know, 16
Yeah,
and
is it even
pregnant and
called
stuff
VH1
like that.
anymore? I don't know.
I don't know.
That's
I mean, MTV is still there, but they're showing like 16 and pregnant and stuff like that.
yeah, I have no idea like what is going on with MTV now. I mean, there were like when I lived in New York, I did a lot of freelance work like on MTV stuff.
Yeah.
So I would kind of get an idea of what was happening.
Yeah.
But now I just have no idea.
Well, they
Like, that was
launched
what
that.
was cool about like watching the videos with my daughter last night.
Yeah.
Is that she doesn't have any context for certain things, and you know, like I can kind of give her some background on
Yeah.
things, you know, and it would just be like different things that would come up. Like we watched one video, and then right after it was Cranberries'
Yeah.
Dreams, and I was like, oh, you know, like she just died a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
it's like so many of the things that we saw is like, oh, they're dead now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, MTV has that new channel they launched called like MTV Classic or something, where it just shows music videos all day. But
That sounds awesome. I didn't realize that was
it
even a
sounds
thing.
awesome, but it's not actually. I mean, they'll have blocks where it's like, okay, it's rock, or now it's going to be hip hop or whatever, and like that's cool. But like, they stripped away everything that made MTV. You know, like there's no VJs of any kind anymore. Like there's no intro. It's just like, here's a bunch of commercials. Here's 3 videos. Here's more commercials.
It's
Here's
like
3
the radio
videos.
essentially, but without, I guess.
It's not even as good as at least the radio has a DJ, and there's like
Yeah,
there's
they
just
talk
nothing.
about stuff.
They even got rid of and this I really don't understand. They got rid of like their classic Chiron, the one that I use on my show now, like that just says like the name of the band and
I thought that'd be like burned into the
right. No,
video.
it's like now
It's
you
not.
watch it and it's just like some generic font, and
It's horrible.
I don't know. It's just it's if you took
didn't want to
MTV
spring
and
for that.
stripped
They didn't want
out
to pay
all
for
the
it like you did.
personality, then you'd end up with what MTV. And especially when you're talking about, how you can just load up a playlist of videos on like Apple TV, or I mean, heck, like you can just do it on YouTube, right? Like every
Oh yeah.
every
100%.
major band ever has like one of those Vivo or whatever channels, right? And there's people have used those to make playlists. So like, why would you watch any of that on MTV when they're not bringing anything extra to the table? Which is just stupid,
Yeah.
because like most of those classic, the V8 or the MTV VJs from the classic era, they're all on satellite radio now. So it's not like they're not still around and working in the business, but MTV is just trying to do that as cheaply as possible, and so that it turns it into something that nobody wants to watch. And then what they'll end up doing is shutting it down, and then saying, "Well, we tried to bring videos back. You can see nobody wants to watch them." But it's like you
So
didn't
we're gonna bring it back, but we're gonna do it in the
It's like not even
Worst way
half-assed. It's like they like quarter-assed it.
like they're intentionally trying to kneecap it from like so that they can say we tried it and then
I mean, maybe I'm not going that far, but I'm saying like they didn't.
now get off my back.
They put
this
no
one
effort
back.
into it, and then they'll end up using that as an excuse for why they don't
Yeah.
show videos anymore.
like so many things these
Yeah.
days.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, that's an hour and 45. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I think it's a good one.
I hope so. We'll see.
We'll read some emails. We'll double up on the emails.
Yeah, we just it got away from us this time. This episode was just like a runaway freight train. Although you live in Ohio, so I shouldn't talk about freight trains. But yeah. Anyway, that was episode 22, the double deuces of Here's My Question for You. And
The Double Deuce. No,
yes.
wasn't that the bar in Roadhouse?
I don't remember.
Oh.
Send us an email. Here's my podcast at gmail.com. That's about it.
Yeah.
Oh, real quick. Somebody hit us up on Twitter. I don't know if you saw that because we were talking about Sylvester Stallone last time, and he brought up the movie Cobra. So, because we didn't mention that one. I forgot. He said which. It's on. You can watch it on one of the streaming services right now.
I think it was. Or did James Cameron write that?
I think it was HBO Max. I don't know, but I'm saying if it's on HBO Max, I'm gonna watch Cobra again.
Yeah, I don't remember anything about that movie. I can see the
VHS box with the
him holding,
aviator glasses with the
had
mirror,
the gun with the scope on it, with the laser scope on it.
Yeah. How can you not want to watch that? I'm gonna watch that maybe today or something.
I
sounds like a good Friday night movie to me.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, that's it, and everybody have a good week, and thanks for listening / watching, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.